Hello and welcome. I am Thomas Porteous and you're watching The World Report. Let's take a look at the headlines this hour. US President Joe Biden says the New Orleans attack suspect hid 2 bombs before carrying out the car ramming attack. Detonators have been found as CCTV is released showing Shamsuddin Jabbar an hour before the attack. Elite soldier Matthew Littleburge shot himself before the Cybertruck explosion outside of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas. The active Green Beret serviceman was on leave at the time of the attack, which injured several people. As strikes continue to hit the Gaza Strip, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has sent a delegation to resume peace talks in Qatar. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says incoming US President Donald Trump's instability can help end the war with Russia. Israeli airstrikes have killed at least 50 people in Gaza, including children. The strikes targeted Hamas offices and a humanitarian zone in Muwasi, where displaced Palestinians are sheltering. The bombardment has worsened the already dire conditions for civilians, with many casualties reported in areas like Deir al-Balah, Khan Yunis and Meghazi. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has authorized talks in Qatar aimed at a ceasefire, but negotiations have stalled after 15 months. Despite Israel's claims of targeting only Hamas members, Gaza's health ministry reports civilian casualties. We are joined by our reporter today, Aditya Wadhwan, our correspondent. Aditya, what are the recent updates from Gaza? Okay, we are moving on to our guest, Professor Ifram Imbar, President of the Jerusalem Institute for Strategy and Security, and retired Major General A.K. Sawach, defence expert, live from New Delhi. Thank you very much for joining us. My first question is to you, Professor Ifram Imbar. These supposed ceasefire talks are ongoing. Benjamin Netanyahu has sent them over to Qatar, his officials, but Israel seems to be ramping up their airstrikes with 71 reported civilians killed in the last 24 hours. What can you tell me about this? Why is Israel bombing Gaza like they are right now?
The main issue of the talks is the return of the kidnapped Israelis on October 7th. About 100, we don't know exactly how many are alive, how many are wounded, how many are dead. And Hamas is even refusing to give us a list of the people that are in his hands. This is the essence of the negotiations. Israel is willing to accept a temporary ceasefire in order to get the hostages back and totally release some of the terrorists, Hamas terrorists, that are in its hands. So far, Hamas has been the main problem in this negotiations, as the Americans say, and even the Egyptians and the Qataris, who are intermediaries, are seeming to lose their patience, and this is why it takes so long. Hamas is simply playing games with the lives of the Israeli hostages, and this is the main reason why we don't have yet a ceasefire.
Okay, and now I want to move to Major General A.K. Sawach. I want to ask you, so these talks are ongoing in Qatar. Netanyahu has sent his officials over there. Hamas, Israel have previously denied the 3-stage plan that Hamas approved. How can we see this moving forward?
As far as Israel-Hamas peace talk is concerned, they are now starting again in Qatar, and Mossad rep has already been sent from Israel by Netanyahu. There is a strong chance of some sort of ceasefire taking place before 20 January, before Donald Trump takes over. It is a question of what will be the terms of condition. Now, as far as Israel is concerned, there are three main conditions are. One is a release of all the hostages which are about 100, and they will like to keep their presence in Gaza Strip, and also they will totally control the Philadelphia corridor which is there between Israel and between Gaza and Egypt. Now this is what is the main demand as far as Israel is concerned, and Israel says that they are not going to negotiate on these prime requirements. As far as Hamas are concerned, they are saying that they are ready to release all the hostages, but they do not want the presence of Israeli there in Gaza, and also they don't want Gaza and Egypt border, which is a Philadelphia corridor, to be manned by Israel. So this is where you find the conflict going on between both of them. This is a war of contention between Israel and as well as Hamas. The talks have taken place almost about 10 to 12 times, which is like brokered by Qatar, Egypt and US. Now again the talks will take place. Whether it will succeed or not, time will only tell, but the chances are looking bright because there is a huge pressure as far as Donald Trump is concerned. He's been telling that there should be some sort of ceasefire before he takes over, and there is a pressure especially on Hamas. And also the fact that Hezbollah and Israel negotiation is holding on, whatever ceasefire they have done by and large is still intact, except a few times when Israel has attacked on Lebanon, basically when it found that Hezbollah is not following the terms and conditions which is agreed. So the chances of negotiation and chances of some sort of agreement before Donald Trump takes over on 20th January seemingly looks to be high.
Thank you very much, Major General Sawatch, for that. I want to ask one more question to Professor Ifram Imbar. There has been a recent report that has said that Israel have been cutting off the water supply to people who are already in a humanitarian crisis in Gaza. What do you make of this report?
This is what many like Hamas propagandists tell the world. Actually, the Israeli forces are counting. Now the food, the carrots that go into Gaza, there are hundreds of lorries carrying food, and water is somewhat a shortage, but the difficulty to improve the water supply, and it must be clear to everybody. The food that is transferred to Gaza is being taken by Hamas. It is selling it, making money out of it. It is recruiting people to its terrorist organization by paying salaries with food to the new recruits and their families. So the humanitarian situation in Gaza is primarily the result of the continued rule of Hamas in part of Gaza. The aim of the war is to remove Hamas from Gaza, and the war will not end before military and civil rule of Hamas is eradicated. We shouldn't forget that Hamas is an Islamic radical terrorist organization, and it's best for everybody that it will be eliminated from Gaza as well from other places.
Thank you very much for joining us. We will now move on to some more stories from across the world. A college football player, a young aspiring nurse and a mother of a 4-year-old are amongst the victims of the New Year's Day attack in New Orleans, which killed 15 people. The names of the victims are being released by the families and relatives before authorities complete the post-mortem examinations. And here is what we have learned about a few of the people who lost their lives to the attack.
On the New Year's Eve, At around 3:15 a.m., New Orleans was left shaken after a Texas man drove his truck through the crowd of revelers, killing at least 14 people. However, he was shot dead by the police later after the attack. A woman on the cusp of starting her studies to become a nurse, a father of two, spending time with his cousin, and a former Princeton University football player were among the ones who lost their lives to the tragic incident. On January 1st, midnight, 21-year-old Hubert Goldthrow wished his family a Happy New Year over message before he was killed in the New Orleans attack. His sister recalls that Hubert was selfless and had a big heart. He would call for random check-ins and drop anything to help someone. Drew Dauphin, 26, was in New Orleans from Alabama with his little brother, Matthew. They had gone to a concert and, later, to eat pizza. 10 minutes before the attack, the two had separated. Dauphin, who was a supply process manager at Honda, has been described as a great friend to all by his friend Becky. Kareem Badawi, who had recently finished his first semester at the University of Alabama, decided to celebrate the new year in New Orleans with his friends. Badawi's father recalls he was social and had many friends, and went to Alabama to study because he wanted to see a different state. Nicole Perez was a devoted mother to her 4-year-old son, Melvin, and had recently been promoted to manager at the deli where she worked before she was killed in the attack. A close friend of Perez described her as a vital part of their tight-knit friend group. 25-year-old Matthew Tenedorio, who had eaten dinner with his mother, father, and one of his brothers in Slidell, LA, just outside of New Orleans, for New Year's right before heading into New Orleans with friends. Tiger Beksh, a former football player at Princeton University, was also killed in the attack. Beck's brother posted on social media saying, "You inspired me every day. Now you get to be with me in every moment. I got this family tea, don't worry. This is for us." While many others mourn the death of their loved ones following the tragic attack, FBI continues its investigation into the intentions motivation behind the attack. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at some latest news updates from the Indo-Pacific region. China is dealing with an outbreak of the humanitaphonovirus. It is also known as HMPV. This comes 5 years after the outbreak of COVID-19. As per several reports, the virus is spreading rapidly and the hospitals are overwhelmed. Health officials are closely monitoring the situation as the virus spreads. The Taiwanese government has condemned China's New Year video, according to the Radio Free Asia. The video sought to assert Chinese dominance over Taiwan. Chinese President Xi Jinping was also featured in the video. He said no one can stop the reunification of Taiwan. In response, to Taiwan's foreign minister termed the whole video as psychological warfare. He claimed the video was designed to create illusion and to intimidate Taiwan. India and Bangladesh announced that they will start releasing fishermen in each other's custody. This move comes amidst strain in their bilateral ties. As per the reports, Bangladesh will hand over 95 Indian fishermen to Indian authorities on the 5th of January. India said it would release 90 Bangladeshi fishermen to Bangladeshi authorities on the same day. Bangladesh has introduced new textbooks for primary and secondary school students. The books state that Zimar Rahan declared the country's independence in 1971. It replaces the previous ones crediting Sheikh Mujibur Rahman with the declaration. The textbooks also removed the title Father of the Nation for Mujibur Rahman. A 21-year-old Indian man has found himself behind bars in Pakistan due to a romantic relationship with a Pakistani girl. The man, identified as Badal Babu, was arrested on the 28th of December by Pakistani authorities. He was arrested due to illegally crossing the Indo-Pak border. The family of Babu has appealed to the Indian government, particularly to Prime Minister Narendra Modi, to negotiate with Pakistan for Babu's release. A submarine drone suspected to be from China was recovered in the waters off the central Philippines. 3 fishermen found the drone on Monday around 6 miles off the coast of San Pascual. The Yellow drone marked HY119 was found floating at sea before being turned over to authorities. The police report listed potential national security implications as one significance of its recovery. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is hopeful that US President-elect Donald Trump's unpredictability could help end the war with Russia. Trump has claimed he can resolve the nearly 3-year conflict in 24 hours. However, Ukraine remains cautious, fearing land concessions for peace. Let's take a look at the report.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has expressed hope that US President-elect Donald Trump's unpredictability can help end the war with Russia. Trump, who takes office on 20th January, has said he will end the nearly 3-year conflict in 24 hours, once in power, a claim that has drawn skepticism from Kyiv, which fears it will be forced to give up land for peace.
Я вважаю, що сильний і непередбачуваний. Я би дуже хотів, щоб непередбачуваність президента Трампа стосувалась передусім в бік Російської Федерації. Я вважаю, що він дійсно хоче закінчити війну. Я вважаю, що це правда.
The Ukrainian leader has sought to build bridges with Trump and his team since November's election amid fears the Republican could slow vital US military aid or halt it entirely. Zelensky said that Trump could be decisive in the war.
Трамп може бути вирішальним. І я думаю, для нас це найголовніше, що він, його якості, вони такі є. Він спроможний бути вирішальним в цій війні. Він може дійсно зупинити Путіна або
Zelensky has said that achieving a just peace for Ukraine would mean receiving solid security guarantees from its allies, joining the EU and receiving an invitation to join the NATO alliance, a notion rejected by Moscow. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at the latest news updates from North America. 2 people have died and 18 others have been injured after a small plane crashed into a commercial building in Southern California. According to the police, 10 people have been taken to the hospital with injuries. Meanwhile, 8 others have been treated at the scene and released. Authorities have not yet disclosed any further details regarding the cause of the crash. A US court has rejected the Biden administration's attempt to restore net neutrality rules. The court ruled that the federal government does not have the authority to regulate internet providers as utilities. The decision represents a significant setback for advocates of an open internet. Freezing weather is set to impact the eastern US in the coming days as the polar vortex moves through the region. Temperatures are expected to stay below the average for the southeast and east coast throughout the first half of January. The Gulf of Mexico and Florida may also experience temperatures dropping below freezing. President Biden is expected to announce a decision regarding whether he will approve Nippon's Steel $14.9 billion acquisition of US steel. The president has previously expressed opposition to the deal. He emphasized the importance of US Steel remaining an American-owned and operated company. US Republican leader Mike Johnson is set to confront critics on Friday in a crucial vote in Congress. This vote could either cement his position as one of the nation's top statesmen or push him back to the benches. If he fails, he may fade into political obscurity, having taken the gavel in a 2023 palace coup. The Louisiana conservative is now vying for re-election. He is seeking to retain his position as Speaker of the House of Representatives. A magnitude 4.7 earthquake has struck Lake County, California. The U.S. Geological Survey reported that the quake occurred at approximately 6:34 p.m. Its epicenter was located 2.5 miles northwest of Cobb, near Gaza in Sonoma County. The tremor was felt across several counties in Northern California, including Lake Sonoma, Marin, Napa, and Solano. The person who died when a Tesla Cybertruck exploded in Las Vegas has been identified. The driver, Matthew Livelsberger, served as a Green Beret. Authorities confirmed after a DNA test the body was mostly burnt. He is believed to have shot himself before the vehicle detonated. Here's more from the investigation.
On Thursday, a Tesla Cybertruck packed with explosives burst into flames outside the hotel in Las Vegas, partly owned by Trump. The driver and lone occupant of the Tesla Cybertruck, who died in the blast, has been identified as Matthew Livelsberger from Colorado Springs. Officials said tattoos gave a strong indication the body was his and were waiting for DNA tests to confirm this. The FBI also found his military ID in the vehicle. Clark County Sheriff Kevin McMahill said he is believed to have shot himself before detonation. The body was burned beyond recognition, officials added.
We believe the question was the gunshot self-inflicted, and we do believe it was, since he was the only person in the vehicle, and it occurred immediately prior to the vehicle blowing up.
As per the officials, he was a highly decorated US Army Green Beret who was deployed twice to Afghanistan. He was awarded 2 Bronze Stars, including one with a Valor Device for Courage Under Fire, a Combat Infantry Badge, and an Army Commendation Medal with Valor. Officials said Livelsberger may have got into a fight with his wife about relationship issues shortly before he rented the Tesla and bought the guns. Despite it all, the motivation for the blast still remains unknown.
So as I mentioned, the motivation at this point is unknown. We are, as I mentioned earlier, following investigative leads both domestically and internationally as well. And so that includes search warrants and witness interviews, collecting forensic information, and basically trying to compile the facts.
Colorado Springs addresses connected to Livelsberger were staked out and later raided by FBI agents. The sheriff said that Tesla owner Elon Musk has also been helping with the investigation. Bureau Report, NewsX.
Now let's take a look at the latest news updates from Europe. The British government has announced new laws to impose severe curbs on suspected people smugglers. This move is part of its intensified efforts to combat illegal migration and bolster border security. According to the government statement, those suspected have been subjected to travel bans and social media blackouts. Additionally, restrictions on phone usage have been imposed to help dismantle organised immigration crime networks. Smokers in Milan have risked being fined for lighting up on the city streets or crowded public areas. This comes after the country's toughest ban came into effect on Wednesday. The new regulations aim to create a healthier and cleaner environment for residents and visitors alike. Those who defy the new prohibition in the polluted northern Italian city could be fined between 40 and 240 euros. Pope Francis has ushered in the new year with a renewed appeal for the faithful to reject abortion. He called for a firm commitment to protect and respect life from conceptual to natural death. He celebrated New Year's Day Mass in St. Peter's Basilica on Wednesday. Dedicated to Mary in his homily, he prayed that everyone learns to care for every child born of a woman and protect the precious gift of life. 7 migrants have been rescued, but at least 20 remain missing after their boats sunk en route to Italy from Libya. This was confirmed by the mayor of Italian island of Lampedusa. Among those saved is an 8-year-old Syrian boy who had hoped to be joining his father in Germany. Renewable energy production rose to a record high in Portugal last year. According to the country's grid operator, natural gas consumption fell to a 20-year low in 2024 as the country installed more solar panels. In a statement, the operator said renewables were granted 71% of Portugal's electricity last year. It was increased from 61% the previous year. Agnes Calletti, a Holocaust survivor and the oldest living Olympic medal winner, has died at 103 years old. She was hospitalized in critical condition with pneumonia on the 25th of December. She won a total of 10 Olympic medals in gymnastics, including 5 golds for Hungary at the 1952 Helsinki Games and 1956 Melbourne Games. That's all we have time for. Come back for more international news updates on NewsX World.